I underestimated when I started how strong of a memory food churros are. Oh my gosh, these take me back to the churros that I had on our honeymoon in the beaches of Mexico. Oh my gosh, these are just like the ones my grandma made at home in Peru. I was on a study abroad in Madrid and we always went and got churros and chocolate after school every day. What's our next move? What other opportunities are there? This really opened our eyes to the scalability of our business. And then we're like, gosh, I think there's a huge opportunity with frozen churros that didn't really, that no one has capitalized on. And so why not us? You know, so let's do it. Yeah. And so obviously we did a lot of testing and had thousands of conversations with distributors, buyers, brokers, you know, everyone. And it was a resounding, there's a huge opportunity here. And I think the fact that, you know, being able to land Target in only 2 months time is like crazy. And then Harmon's was shortly thereafter. And then, you know, Associated Foods and others to come. We met with Costco as well. And hopefully Costco has...
That'd be a big one.
This would be the Costco version, the 26 one.
That's cool.
So, yeah. So this is a completely different business. So now we're in a production and manufacturing of food business.
Where do you do all this?
Well, we're producing in Lehigh, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, right now. When we scale to larger quantities, we'll be producing in Mexico.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah, so it'll be fun to go back there and bring the churro. And frankly, like we're in talks with businesses both in Mexico on the retail side, as well as there's some businesses that have grocery both here in America and in Mexico. And we're in talks with them. We'll most likely get here in America first. And then we hope to be able to even take these back to Mexico, you know?
Yeah. That's way cool.
And give them to people in the grocers' freezers down there. So,
you know what I think is interesting about going to this from the churro making kit is your other option could have been, and I'm sure you talked about it, let's open stores. And you could have went more like the crumble cookie model and franchise these things out and really just figured out how do you get hot churros to people's front door? Because obviously that's a huge thing and delivering them and DoorDash and all that type of stuff. And maybe that's in your roadmap or something. But it's really, what made you decide like, I'm going to go here, the manufacturing versus I'm going to start franchising stores or things like that?
I just laugh because it is like that. There's a couple of reasons I laugh. Ever since we started the business, and we talk about this in team trainings all the time, the number one question we always get from people everywhere we go still, and it's probably never going to end. We're at a wedding, catering, at Silicon Slopes event, whatever. They're like, hey, these are awesome. Where are you guys located? That's always the question.
Yeah.
Where are you guys located? And our response is we go where the party is. You know, there's so many. That's the other reason I laugh, is because there's so much we've learned over the years about Americans' current churro consumption behavior. I know it sounds...
You're like a world expert at that.
Well, you would think, initially it makes sense. It's like, well, why wouldn't you go the crumble route? Why wouldn't you do something? Why wouldn't that work? There's a number of reasons that we've determined over the years. We've actually experimented with it. We were in Macy's in Draper for about 2 years. We were there on the weekends only, and we just wanted to experiment with the idea that we could have a continuous place that someone could come and get churros anytime on the weekends. What we've learned is that when three things are in place, we do exceptionally well. And those kind of behavior environments are when there's an impulse buy, when there's high traffic, so lots of people, and and when there's low price sensitivity. Meaning, think about Santa Monica Pier, or an airport even possibly could work, or a fair and festival.
Yeah.
So that's why when we go to fairs and festivals, we'll have people that'll stand in line. We go out to night lights or whatever. People stand in line for 45 minutes to get a churro.
Yeah.
But very few people are at home thinking, Dad, let's go out for some churros. Yeah. But they will say, Dad, let's go grab some ice cream. And you will literally have 5 gallons of ice cream in your freezer. But you're like, because that's what you do in America. You go out for ice cream. That's a thing. And you'll get in your car and you'll drive 15 minutes or more and pay 4 times or more for for a thing of ice cream, because that's what you do. That behavior doesn't exist with churros yet. We obviously would love to change that. Get very often. That's why
I think it's that way. Disneyland
in line for 20. Well,
I think Disneyland, like you go to Disneyland and everyone says Disneyland's churros are the very best. I think it's just because we never have churros except for at Disneyland.
There's a lot to that. There's a lot to what you say. It's just this, I think there's so much memory association with that flavor and the smell. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in the happiest place on earth. These are the best. This is the best churros I've ever had in my life. And you just associate that. The same thing. I mean, this happens. I underestimated when I started how strong of a memory food churros are.
That's an interesting point.
There's like people always say, oh my gosh, these take me back to the churros that I had on our honeymoon in the beaches of Mexico. And someone else will say, oh my gosh, these are just like the ones my grandma made at home in Peru. Or someone's like, I was on a study abroad in Madrid and we always went and got churros and chocolate after school every day. These take me back. It's just like or going to the fair with grandma and grandpa here in America. It's like you just have this beautiful, fun, amazing memory associated with them. And so it's powerful. It's powerful. And we met the culinary team at Disneyland recently at a couple of these shows. And I remember I turned around and I was, handing out samples like this. And I said, hey, would you guys like some samples? I'm like, oh, Disneyland. I'm like, I'm so happy to meet you guys. I said, the first thing I said was, number one, thank you for what you've done for the churro. Because of you, everyone knows about churros and loves churros. So on behalf of the churro community, I thank you. And I think the only other one that's done more for churros has been Costco, except they now have discontinued their churros. Yeah. We actually held a vigil, memorial service.
That's good.
Outside the Costco in Orem, just to pay homage, I mean, this is a churro brother gone, but not forgotten, right? And so I met the team from Disneyland. I said, thank you. And I said, also, ever since I started the business, I've dreamt about being the churro provider at Disneyland. And they're like, really? So anyway,